Hello everyone, this is Dr. Ganesham Chavan. I welcome you all in another session of Human Anatomy and Physiology. So students, this is the second chapter of blood. In last chapter, we have discussed regarding the composition of blood, functions of blood. So in today's presentation, I will discuss about the plasma proteins. Plasma proteins means the proteins which are available into our blood. Mostly they are available into our plasma. So it is a clear straw colored fluid. It is almost 55% of total blood volume. Here you will see in this plasma it is almost 55% of our total blood volume, and remaining 45% are formed elements or blood cells. They may be RBC, WBC and platelets. Origin of plasma proteins. From embryo means from the birth, the protein has been developed. So the mesenchymal cells, through the process of secretion or their substances, form plasma proteins. In adults, albumin from the liver, means liver is the major source of albumin. It can be prepared, synthesized in liver. Fibrinogen also can be synthesized in the liver, and from that it can be released. Next, globulin, it is the tissue macrophages, plasma cells and the lymphocytes. These globulin are having major role for development of the immunoglobulins, means antibodies, and they are signaling these macrophages, and these macrophages are able to responsible for killing of these pathogens, means bacteria, viruses, protozoas. So they are engulfing them as it is. They are having the process of phagocytosis, and also these globulins, immunoglobulins, they are also initiates these lymphocytes, either T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes and plasma cells, means overall their function in immunity. So they are developing and increasing and furnishing and upgrading our immunity. Plasma, also plasma proteins. The normal plasma protein concentration is 6.4 to 8.3 grams per dl. Now, total 55% of our pre-albumin is 0.03 gram per dl, and albumin is 3 to 5 gram per dl. It is a concentration per dl. Out of this, means there are two types of albumin, pre and albumin, and it is total concentration is 55% in total all the proteins, plasma proteins. Next is globulin. Its total concentration is 38% and its concentration is 2 to 3 gram per dl. Now next percentage is 7% of fibrinogen. This fibrinogen is available in 7%, but its major function is platelet aggregation and the clotting process. Its concentration is 200 to 450 gram per dl. Prothrombin, it is another clotting factor which is responsible for clotting process, and this prothrombin can get converted into the thrombin in the process of clotting, and its concentration is 40 mg per dl. Next types of globulins are alpha globulin, beta globulin and gamma globulin. There are three types of globulins are available. Now out of them, first is alpha globulin. It is 13% in proportion, and its concentration is 0.78 to 0.81 grams per dl. Second is beta globulin. This beta globulin is 14% of total volume of globulin, and its concentration is 0.79 to 0.84 grams per dl. Next is gamma globulin. Its concentration is 11% and it is available in 0.66 to 0.7 gram per dl. Now we will discuss the various forms of globulin, means how many forms of globulins are available, that we will discuss afterwards. In that, first is glycoproteins. This is the first form of globulin which is available in our blood. So glycoprotein is nothing but the carbohydrate plus protein, means if they are both are combined, they will form the glycoproteins. They are also involved into the various processes of formation of enzymes and formation of hormones, and also the transportation of hormones from one part to the another part. There are also the carrier proteins for fatty acids, triglycerides. Next is lipoproteins. This is the globulin plus lipid. They are water soluble complexes with following types. Lipoproteins means proteins plus lipid. Now there are various types of lipoproteins are available that we can see one by one. In that, first is high density lipoproteins. It is also called as HDL. In comparison with all the lipoproteins, this is the good proteins. It is also called as good cholesterol. Means if it is high concentration in your body, means you are having good fighting ability with cholesterol. Means your cholesterol level can be under control if you are having good proportion of HDL, high density lipoproteins. It is a good proteins. It almost contains 50% protein with large amount of cholesterol and the phospholipids. And this HDL you will find in the omega fatty acids, you will find in the salmon fish, you will find in the fruit like avocado, and also some dry fruits it is available. So this is the protective, and it is one of the required, and it is helpful lipoproteins as compared with the all types of lipoproteins. Now second is low density lipoproteins, and it contains large amount of glycerides. So this is one of the very worst lipoprotein which is available into our blood, and it is a circulating lipoproteins, and it is available at all the parts of our blood, and it is having capability, this LDL is having capability to stick to our walls of blood vessels. Means it will stick to any part of blood vessels and it will deposit on that wall. Means it is producing some layer on your blood vessels, and due to which it is doing the hardening of our blood vessels, and again the cholesterol will deposit on that layer and it will become hard, and due to that it will produce the condition like atherosclerosis. Ather means lipid, sclerosis means hardening, and this LDL can produce the condition like atherosclerosis, and they can leads into the various heart diseases like coronary disease or myocardial ischemia, myocardial infarctions, or angina pectoris. So in this fashion they are developing the various types of problems, diseases to our heart. So it is very worse lipoproteins. Second is VLDL, also called as very low density lipoproteins. So they have higher proportions of fat in the form of triglycerides and cholesterols. So this VLDL can get converted into the LDL, and it is also worsening conditions. They are also not good, but as compared to LDL they can be better. But this VLDL can get converted into the LDL, and in our body each and every type of lipoproteins are having their levels, so they should not cross their level. For example, 50% is HDL, so it should be 50% or more. If it will low down to the 40% or 30%, due to which we may have various heart problems, because this HDL level are try to reduce the LDL level also. They are try to maintain the LDL level. Next is chylomicrons. They contains 2% of proteins and 98% of triglycerides. Now next is transferrin. First was glycoproteins, second is lipoproteins, and now third protein is transferrin. This transferrin is nothing but the carrier protein for iron. So its normal concentration is 3 to 6.5 mg per dl. This is the concentration of this transferrin. It is very vital protein which is available into our liver. So its main function is to regulate and control iron absorptions. So it do the process of iron absorptions from intestine, and it carry that iron along with that. It is a carrier proteins for iron, and it protects against the iron intoxication. Also it governs and it protects from the iron intoxication. It won't allow to intoxicate iron. It utilizes that iron, and it is responsible for development of the hemoglobin molecule, because it carries that protein and it leads into the production of hemoglobin, and also it helps into the iron transport. It is also available into the absorption of copper. Next is hepatoglobulins. It is a normal concentration. It is almost 40 to 180 mg per dl. Their major function is to prevent loss of iron through urinary excretions. Means through the urinary excretions, lots of iron is going to be lost. So this protein is also holding back that iron into the blood. It won't allow that iron to pass into your kidney and to throw out from our body. So in this fashion, it will regain our iron. Next is to protect the kidney from damage of hemoglobin. Also it protects the kidney from the damage by the hemoglobin, because if hemoglobin will be damaged, so lots of iron can be deposited into your kidney, so due to which the kidney damage or the kidney blockage or kidney stone may be developed. So from this problem, this hepatohemoglobin can help our body. What it is doing? It is the carrier protein, so it is carrying that iron from our kidney and it is giving revert back to our liver. Next is to regulate the renal threshold for hematoglobulin. So it is also giving the renal threshold, means it is increasing the capacity of our renal, of our kidney, means it is try to maintain the functions of kidney, it is try to maintain the functions of filtration of our kidney. That's why it is increasing the capacity of the kidney. That's why it is called as renal threshold for hemoglobin. So that's why the hemoglobin molecules can be tolerated, can be maintained into our kidney. They won't allow to break down into our kidney. Ceruloplasmin. This ceruloplasmin is one of the fatty acid carrier proteins, and it is having the genes for ceruloplasmin. So its normal concentration is 15 to 16 mg per dl. It binds with the copper and helps in its transport and storage. And this ceruloplasmin is also responsible for carrier of our iron, and also it is having power of absorption of copper from our intestine. So it binds copper and helps its transport and storage, and it also helping for transportation and absorption of our iron. Next is phetuin. This phetuin is present in the fetus of newborns, and in most quantity it will available into the fetus of bovine. Bovine means cattle. So in the fetus of cattle you will find this phetuin. It is a protein at the large or great extent, and it is a growth promoting protein, and this protein is also responsible for transportation of fatty acids, and this protein you will find into the fetus. Now next is coagulation factors. So there are various types of coagulation factors which are available into our proteins, and that first is angiogenesis. This is the first. Second is hematoglutinins. This angiotensinogen is responsible for conversion of angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. This angiotensin is responsible for maintenance of our blood pressure. Angiotensin 2 is the active form and angiotensin 1 is the inactive form. So ACE inhibitor, angiotensin converting enzyme, is responsible for conversion of inactive to active. So this angiotensin is responsible for maintenance of blood pressure, and this hematoglobulin. This hematoglobulin is responsible for production of our hemoglobin. So these hematoglobulins, these globin molecules are responsible for that. Next is immunoglobulin. It is Ig. Immunoglobulins. It is Ig. So these immunoglobulins are responsible for production of various types of antibodies. It is IgE, IgG, IgM, like that. So various immunoglobulins are going to be produced by these immunoglobulins. Now various types of plasma proteins concentrations. Now what happens if the plasma protein concentration will be decreased? So it can develop into the hemorrhage, results in loss of forms of plasma proteins. So if the concentration of plasma protein will be declined, in that condition hemorrhage can produce. What is hemorrhage? Hemorrhage is nothing but the loss of bleeding. So when the bleeding occurs, means our blood is not going to be coagulate properly, and due to which the blood vessels can be ruptured, means cut, injury occurs, and through that part the bleeding will occur, constant bleeding will occur. So that typical condition is called as hemorrhage. So that hemorrhage can be developed when we are having less quantity of plasma proteins available. After hemorrhage, fibrinogen, globulin and albumin are regenerated and complete restoration in few days. So after their decline, after hemorrhage, the fibrinogen, this globulin and albumin, means all the types of proteins are regenerated, means they are again developed into our body, and complete restoration in few days will occur. That's why though we are giving our blood, means you are donating the blood, after 3 days our whole quantity of blood can be regained, can be restored into our body. If it is increased because of loss or more water from the plasma secondary to the burns, so dehydration and the diabetes insipidus, it is one of the consequences. It can lead into these problems. So we should not increase also, and we should not decrease also. So in both the cases there will be the problems. Now variation into the plasma proteins concentration, that if decrease in albumin. Now we will discuss regarding the albumin. If albumin concentration will be decreased into our plasma, so it will leads into what? So physiological infancy and newborn. So the infancy can be produced, and for newborn also it is problematic if decrease of albumin will be there, and pregnancy and globulin also decreases. Physiological infancy and newborn. So infancy is nothing but it is a stage of the infancy, means when the baby is infant. So from the first day up to the 1 year the baby is infant. So in that condition, and newborns. And next is pregnancy. So after the first 6 months globulin also decreases. So in this condition it can be decreased. Pathological impaired protein synthesis due to the hepatitis. Hepatitis is the condition, and there is inflammation of our liver. Hepatocytes means liver. Hepatocytes are nothing but the structural and functional unit of liver. So when there is inflammation into our liver, that typical condition is called as hepatitis. There are various types of hepatitis: hepatitis A, hepatitis B, hepatitis C. These are types of hepatitis. There are also various vaccines are available for hepatitis. Next is cirrhosis of liver, means the fatty liver like condition can be developed. So liver fibrosis can be available, occurs. So it is called cirrhosis, means there is complete damage to our liver will occur. It is also one of the reasons for decline into our albumin. Next is chronic disease, the disease which can be occur from last few days or last few months. It is called chronic, means from several period that disease is persisting. So that typical condition is called as chronic disease. For example, the disease like cancer, disease like tuberculosis, the disease like epilepsy, these are the chronic disease. And severe malnutrition. Malnutrition may occur due to the protein malnutrition or vitamins malnutrition or any electrolyte malnutrition. So if severe malnutrition will occur, it will also leads into the decline into our albumin. And also excessive loss due to the burns or nephrosis. So when burn will occur, means burning in bonding condition also excessive loss of albumin may occurs, and also the nephrosis condition is there, means our nephros is going to be damaged. Now functions of plasma proteins. There are several functions that we will discuss one by one. It helps into the coagulation process. It is a major function of our plasma proteins. Without plasma proteins, without our coagulation process is just impossible. So due to the presence of fibrinogen, it is one of the agents which is get converted into the fibrin. It is a thread like structure, so that is development, it is responsible for development of our coagulation. It is prothrombin, it is also get converted into the thrombin in the presence of calcium and other clotting factors. So there are almost 13 clotting factors are available into our plasma proteins in our plasma. So they are having the great role into our coagulations. So without them, it is just impossible to have the coagulation process. What is coagulation process? It is the nothing but the hemostasis. What is hemostasis? It is nothing but the stoppage of bleeding. And in stoppage of bleeding, there are 3 steps available. In that, first is the blood vessel spasm. Second is the coagulation process, and third is the platelet aggregation. So by these 3 stages, the hemostasis will occur. Hemostasis is different than the homeostasis. What is homeostasis? Homeostasis is nothing but the maintenance of internal body environment. Either it will be temperature, either it may be the level of hormones, levels of enzymes, our release of any glands. So our environment is going to be maintained. For example, temperature maintenance. So it is called homeostasis, and stoppage of bleeding is called as hemostasis. Their second function is it helps to maintain the colloidal osmotic pressure across capillary wall. So this colloidal osmotic pressure across capillary walls helps to maintain the exchange of fluid at tissue level, the rate of fluid exchange. So this colloidal osmotic pressure is required for maintenance of our process of filtration, which occurs in our body constantly. So filtration absorption at the point along a capillary depends upon the balance of force called Stirling process. So here you can see this is the blood capillary. So blood flows from the oxygen blood to the deoxygenated blood. Now here the absorption and the filtration will occur of our interstitial fluid. So here whatever blood is containing hemoglobin, it can be given to the working cells, working interstitial cells, which are taking this hemoglobin, taking the oxygen from the hemoglobin, and again they can be get converted into the deoxygenated blood. So that deoxygenated blood will come here, and from where they are taking that oxygen. And in our kidney, the various nephrons, the various tubules are getting this oxygen. So due to this colloidal osmotic pressure, automatically the filtration will occur due to that pressure, and in this fashion our filtration will done, or it will occur in our kidney. Sixth function is it helps to maintain the acid base balance into the body, because in our body constantly the chloride ions are maintaining our acidity and the bicarbonates are maintaining their basicity. So constantly they are increasing and decreasing in our body, and accordingly according to their requirement, the concentration of ions will be increased or decreased. For example, if there will be more acidity, in that case the bicarbonate ion will be released and they will try to maintain the basicity. And if there is more basicity, if there is more alkalosis, so in that condition there is release of that chloride ions, the HCl will be released and it will try to maintain the acidity. So in this fashion constantly the acid base balance can be maintained. It can be done by our plasma proteins. These plasma proteins acts as a buffers What is buffer? By addition of sudden quantity of weak acid or weak bases, there will not be any sudden change in our pH. So this buffer resists the sudden change in pH by addition of the small quantity of acid or base. So that is called as buffers. So plasma proteins are work here as a buffers. So buffering capacity is 1/6 of total buffering capacity of blood. Means blood is doing the working of buffering capacity is almost 1/6 of total buffering capacity. Atmospheric in nature, so it behaves as a both acids and bases depending on the conditions. Sixth is transport and reservoir functions. So here the plasma proteins form loose bond with hormones. So transport of reservoir function means it try to regain the quantity of our plasma proteins. So these plasma proteins are form loose bonds with hormones, drugs and metal to serve as a reservoir, and from which they are released slowly at appropriate sites. Means they are nothing but the carrier for hormones, drugs and the metals or alkaloids. So from one place they are carrying that hormones, drugs to the another place, and they are releasing them slowly. So these plasma proteins are having very great role for their control release. They are carrying process. So because the hormones are released or drugs are released into our blood, and they are carrying from one place to the another place. Even in case of the metal like the iron metal, so in the form of the transferrin, it is try to control their transportation from one place to the another place, from our liver to the bone marrow. It is transferring them with the help of this transferrin protein. They are attached these ferrous molecule, means these metal molecules of iron, and it releases into our bone marrow. It helps in maintaining viscosity of blood. It is also one of the major function. It is try to maintain the viscosity of the blood. Since 80% of total plasma concentration is due to albumin, means albumin is available at abundant proportion in our body. So it maintains the viscosity of the blood, because the blood should maintain the proper viscosity. It should not be too much viscous, and also it should not be too much dilute. So fibrinogen is the present in traces. Blood viscosity is maintained at low level. So fibrinogen is also having one of the agent which is maintaining our blood viscosity. Next is it helps to maintain the systemic arterial blood pressure constant. So plasma proteins maintaining the blood pressure constant by maintaining the viscosity of the blood, because blood viscosity should not be too much and also should not be too less. If suppose if blood viscosity will be too much, so in that case too much pressure will be there on our heart to pump that blood, and it may develop into the condition like blood pressure, and it will increase the stress on our heart, and due to which the cardiac arrest may develop. So that's why there should not be too much viscosity. There should be normal viscosity. That's why the RBC count of our blood vessels should be in normal. They should not be increased into the hemocrites than the normal condition. So it is called as the condition like pancytopenia. What is pancytopenia? It is a condition when there is more RBC level than the normal. Means all the blood cells, not only RBC but all the blood cells are produced in more in numbers. So that condition is called as pancytopenia. And that pancytopenia get incorporated into the more viscous blood, means blood are having more form elements, and due to which the condition like dehydration will be developed, the condition like blood pressure can be developed, high blood pressure can be developed, and cardiac arrest can be developed. It provides stability to the blood. So due to the presence of globulin and fibrinogen, it provides the stability to our blood. It maintains the stability of our blood. If blood loses its stability, it leads into the Rolex formation. So whenever our blood will lose its stability, either it will become too much faint, or it will become too much dark. So it will be problematic for us. The Rolex formation, it is a condition when especially at our vertebra level, the blood vessels are like discoid in shape, and due to this discoid in shape, they are attached one above the another. Means they are attaching, they are like the chocolate poppins, they are attached one by the other. Means they are gathering at one places, and that their gathering is nothing but the Rolex formation. So they are become like a rod, and due to which they are not involved into the process of release of oxygen to your body parts, to your various blood cells. So this condition is very very typical condition, and due to which the blood vessels are gathered over one place, and they will increase the viscosity, and they are also becoming less in color, and due to which they are losing their property. This RBC will become the abnormal, and which will develop into the condition like anemia. So in this fashion we have discussed the today's session regarding blood. If you have any queries, you can ask me at any point. So thanks a lot for hearing my lecture. We will discuss the next part of blood in next lecture. Bye.